All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining in. Hosank Live. That's the first time I'm going to go live just speaking English because I know there's a lot of diaspora in Armenians, and I also know that there's a lot of non Armenians who support us. And I want to give them a fair chance to ask their questions and, express whatever thoughts they have on our live stream. We're live on Telegram. Today is the 19th, I believe. January 19th. And yeah, I decided to alternate. 1 week I'll go live in Armenian, 1 week in English. And if for those who want to know when we're going to go live, just follow our Telegram and you can see when we're gonna go live. I usually pronounce it announce it sooner, but you this time, you know, I announced it kind of late. In any case, just follow our Telegram channel and you guys will know. I'm just going to discuss generally, current events and just overall topics that are related to Armenia, our struggle for survival, our struggle for independence, our struggle for, uh, just making Armenia um, great again. They talk about make America great again. We're here trying to make Armenia great again. That's what really matters, because we were great in the past, and unfortunately, we've gone downhill, and I think we're at the brink right now, and we're at the cusp. It's either we're gonna keep going downhill and get annihilated, or we're gonna create a new chapter of our history and a rebirth. And that's the whole mission and essence of our movement, of our Armenian movement, is to bring about that rebirth, to cause that transition, to make that transition from this embarrassing, humiliating state that we are in to a state where we could actually be proud to call ourselves Armenian once again, And it's been a long road that we've been on as a nation, and especially in the last, you know, um, century, and especially in the last decade. And from my personal perspective too, I came here 2016, so like almost 10 years. This November will be my 10th anniversary in Armenia. So a lot of changes happened in this 10 years alone. So, I believe I'm part of that process. The movement that I created is part of it. And it's not just an ordinary nationalist movement. I mean, first of all, there's never been a nationalist movement in Armenia in this post-Soviet
Հարիկ ջան, ձենդ կտրվեց ոնց որ։
yeah. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Can you guys hear me now?
Հա, արդեն լսվում է։
Yeah. I don't know why every time I connect with Hosan Contact, but I was trying to connect with the other one. It wasn't working. Anyways, um, yeah, there's never been a movement like political movement, so that was purely nationalistic in this post-Soviet army in the last 30 years. When I founded it in 2021, that was 30 years that Armenia has been, de jure independent at least. And in this 30 years, there was never movement that could consider itself nationalist, a political movement, which is embarrassing, for a country that has that opportunity at least to have just like a, small party or organization, even if it's on the fringe of politics, just something that can be considered nationalist. It didn't even have that, like even 5, 10 people, and that's absurd. When I first came to Armenia, I thought there will be such a group. I thought there will be such a movement that I could join and help out and help it grow. And turned out there wasn't. And turned out after the war, when I came back, still wasn't. And that's why I decided to, found our movement, create our movement, and grow it from there. And again, it's not just a pan Armenian movement. I wanted it to be like a pan European, pan Aryan movement, um, because our message is global. And even though, yeah, we're first and foremost concerned about our country, our nation, but at the end of the day, our the fate of our nation is intertwined with the fate of our race, with the fate of our civilization, because Armenia is the cradle of civilization, the cradle of the white race, and therefore our success is tied to the success of our whole race in general, because it's the origins, and I truly believe that. And it's not just about belief; it's about facts. Um, before, I think, what was it before the 19th century? Uh, it was like a common knowledge amongst scholars all over Europe that Armenia is the cradle of civilization, the cradle of the white race. But for some reason, people got misled. Actually, it's pretty clear that what the reason is because of Zionism when it was created in the 19th century, mid 19th century, and it was created with that purpose. I mean, officially it was late 19th century, but it started forming around mid 19th century, and they started getting rid of anything tied to Armenia in like the books and the history books and everything, because the plan was to wipe us out phys- uh, on written paper before they wiped us out physically. So that's what they essentially did before the genocide. They were actually wiping us out of the history books before they tried to wipe us physically out. And because they always saw us as their competitors, and I'm talking about the Zionists, the Jews, they always saw us as a competitive nation, and they always saw us as a threat. And that's why, uh, you know, whatever actually they've done, we've always been like the first targets. You know, even like the first Zionist revolution that was actually, controlled by them was the Young Turk Revolution in 1908. People think it's the so-called Russian Revolution in 1917, but no, it's the Young Turk Revolution in 1908 when the Young Turks overthrew Abdul Hamid, Sultan Abdul Hamid, so they could, you know, give the Palestine to the Jews, and they lost the First World War, etc. They, you know, organized a genocide against us, etc. But my point is uh, our movement wants to put Armenia back on the map for not just Armenians, but for all Europeans, and I want every European, every white man all around the world to know about us, to know about our struggle. I want people to know that there is a nationalist movement in Armenia that's concerned with the, overall progress of our nation, of our race. And I want people to know, like, what is the nationalist stance? Like, what is the Armenian nationalist stance on what's going on in the world? And I never saw that. And till this day, I don't see another, political movement that could legit give like a commentary, like an Armenian nationalist commentary of what's going on in the world through the lens of an Armenian nationalist. Essentially, that's what our movement is. Like whatever anything that's affecting our people, our again our race, our country, everything. It's all it's all explained through the lens of an Armenian nationalist. Like, and I never saw that before. So I was tired of looking. So that's why I created what I created, and I wanted set an example for the coming generations, and I wanted them to have a platform where they could join and take part, and also express their nationalist thoughts and feelings as well. So, anyways, I'm just even though it's been tough, I'm still glad, I'm still grateful with the support I've gotten. But there's a lot to talk about. This is like the first one I'm doing in English. That's why I'm just going off on tangents. There's a lot to say. There's a lot. We're gonna go off on tangents a lot because everything we talk about is interconnected. That's why we might talk about one thing and then go off topic and start talking about something else. It's because everything is connected. Everything, all the problems our people face, they're all interconnected. You can't solve one problem without solving the other. For example, just today, I mean, well, 2 days ago as well, I called the cab and the cab driver was Indian. And I don't think I've ever had that before, where the cab driver was an Indian in Armenia. And I called again today, a cab, 2 days later, again an Indian. So, first they were coming here with like doing delivery, Yandex delivery, which is like Uber Eats in the U.S. or probably in Europe too as well. Whatever, delivering food. And now they're driving cabs, and one day they're gonna start being doctors over here. So like a same thing happened in Europe. And one point is yeah, that's an immigration problem, but also that's tied to the emigration problem. That's tied with Armenians leaving Armenia, emigrating Armenia, because it's causing a low workforce, and therefore people need workers. Oh, they bring cheap labor instead of. It's funny, like it's funny, it's sad, but it's also like something to cry about as well and laugh about at the same time. But you have Indians coming to Armenia, while at the same time they're coming here to work labor and do delivery and drive a cab, while you have Armenians leaving Armenia, going to America and doing the same damn thing. It's like absurd, you know. And that, and also you can, and the whole unemployment problem, the low wages, those are all interconnected. And my point is, you can't solve one. We can't solve the immigration problem without solving the immigration problem, vice versa. We can't solve the low wages problem without solving the other one. They're all interconnected. So a lot of times we're gonna go back and forth with different topics. But my, what I really wanted to talk about actually this time was related to the last speech, not the last speech, the one before the Congress, our third Congress that we did on December 20th. Celebrating our fourth anniversary, talking about how we're gonna remain uncompromising in our mission, in our ob- actually 1 second. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, we're gonna remain uncompromising. We're not going to dilute our message. We're not going to form some worthless coalition with some other organization just for the sakes of, I don't know, getting some more resources or getting some more exposure in the media, getting more popularity. No, I'm not going to renounce our ideas or dilute the message just because you know we want to get a little bit more fame or a little bit more financing, for example, because the whole purpose of the movement was to create something that's completely independent, that's not sponsored by any oligarch or any, I don't know, sects or any agency network or whatever it is. I wanted something completely grassroots, completely independent, and based on just our nationalist ideology, and to bring to life Najda's ideas in the 21st century. And I wanted something like that. And then I never saw that before in Armenia. Every person I came across, like I said this in the speech too, but again, the speech was in Armenian. I translated it into English, but whatever I came across, it was always someone, behind them. They were always somebody's puppet. They were always, whatever they were doing just for the fact that they were getting money out of it. And I feel like that's just a communist way of doing things, like that's just a scoundrel way of acting, like a decent person won't do that if they're really dedicated to a cause. Yeah, first you bring the idea, you grow the idea into a movement, and then from the movement, people will come who will support it, who will financially donate. That's different. But these people do the opposite. They get the money first, and then they start doing whatever the people who give them money want them to do. That's like the Jewish way. That's like the again the communist way of doing things. And that's why people to this day they don't understand. They still can't believe whatever I'm doing. I'm doing it because I truly believe what I'm doing. Like they can't wrap their minds around that idea. They're still scratching their heads thinking who's behind me, who's financing, who's sponsoring me, like some, I don't know. I've heard so many things the last 4 years. Actually, now I think they're coming to their senses. They're seeing that there is no such thing. But in the beginning, it was crazy. Especially when we did our first rally 2 years ago, you had people who were pro-West calling us pro-Russian, or like, I don't know, Kremlin puppets, just because we did like the Aryan salute, and we were saying Mishtai in front of Nezhda statue. We did a rally that was quote unquote a neo-Nazi rally, according to them, and they thought it was a Kremlin provocation, so they could, justify denazifying Armenia or some shit like that. It was just hilarious. And then you had the pro-Russian people calling us pro-Western, or like you puppets from the West who are trying to start like an Armenian Azov battalion here as a battalion here. It's hilarious, you know. I've heard all kinds of things, but again, whatever we speak about, I mean, everything I've ever said or posted, again, it's always been through the eyes of an Armenian nationalist, and I think people will agree. Whatever we say, we criticize both sides, east or west. If they're wrong, they're wrong. Whatever they do right, they whatever. We'll speak. We're about the truth. We don't take sides. We take the side of the truth, and our purpose is to make the Armenian side that side of the truth. We want to make them synonymous with each other. We want pro-Armenian and pro-truth to be aligned, to be synonymous, and that's what our movement is really about. So again, um, when I founded it, and the last 4 years, I've had all types of people trying to say, "Oh, we should join this group, join that group, form a coalition, or all unite, or everything." There's all I've heard so many things now. I can't even like remember anymore. But it's just ridiculous, and uh, I can't just join something just because they come out and say they're patriotic as well or they're nationalists as well. No, they gotta show it. They gotta show it, and that's what I've been doing the last 4 years. This is the whole purpose. This we're still in like the first phase, you know. Even though it's 4 years, people are so short sighted. They think like, oh man, like they think it's a long time. No, for a movement, for a political movement, 4 years is like it's still an embryo. You know, it's not even a baby yet. It's still an embryo. It takes about like 5 years, 5, 6 years for like to come the second phase. But right now we're still in the building phase. We're still in like the baby phase. So the whole purpose of that phase, the first phase, is to lay it all out for everyone to see what we're really about. Put all our cards on the table and really write about our ideas, our mission, and consistently do so. You know, that's why I consistently put out content, videos, articles. We wrote a program, we wrote a manifesto. We have a website. We're on every social media platform. We did a couple of, small rallies. You know, we done congresses here and there. I mean, we have a portfolio. We built a resume. You know, like when someone goes to a job, they ask for a resume, right? The boss or whatever the person is, CEO, they'll ask you, show me your resume. Like, what have you done? Like, what are you about? And this is it. We have our resume. We have a rock album. We have a program. We have a manifesto. We have consistent uh, content for 4 years now. You know, so if someone's gonna come up to me and say, "Let's join, let's collaborate, let's form a collaboration," it's only fair if I ask them to show me a resume. You know, show me their portfolio, show me what you're about. You can't just come up to me and say you're patriotic. No, I have to see what you're about. I'm putting my cards out. It's like playing poker with someone while they see your cards and you can't see theirs. That's not fair. You know what I mean? Like, no, lay it out, and then we could see where we could collaborate. And it's been many times I reached out. I put my hand out there, and they didn't want to collaborate with me because they didn't want to get associated with a quote unquote extremist. You know, so again, I'm just speaking basic common sense. But for some reason, people think, the fact that I want to remain independent, completely not collaborate with anyone, because I finally found out that there is no such group in Armenia that I could even collaborate with or anything. Because again, one, they're either backed by special interests, or two, the ideas don't fully align. And there's a lot of things again. Um, yeah, a lot of them. There's like maybe like one or two who's yeah, overall their political stance on like external politics, diplomatic stuff. Yeah, you know, we might have some common ground there, but when it comes to like other things or important issues like immigration, I don't know, whatever, mixed marriages, for example, all the other things like that, they never give their stance on it. They never give their opinion on it. So those are important issues as well because those are threats facing our country as well, or facing our nation as well. So it's not just about, oh, condemning Russia and that's it. Okay, so they're condemning Russia, they're good. Okay, we're gonna join them. No, we have to be, at least 90%, 80, 90%, similar in the way we look at the world, our worldview, for us to even collaborate. And that's a big problem over here because, again, it's a post-Soviet, at the Euro independent, you know, republic. This is not a real independent Armenia. Today's Armenia, and the four leaders that we've had, quote unquote leaders that we've had, they've all been traitors, starting from Levante Petros until this supreme clown. They've been nothing but traitors who sold out Armenian interests, and not just them, all the other their minions rotating around them. They're all nothing but traitors. Our whole political system, top to bottom, is filled with traitors. The church, from top to bottom, is filled with traitors. Of and unfortunately, generals in the army who stabbed us in the back during the war, they're all traitors too, most of them, if not all. So we're in a very dire situation, and the only thing that could get us out of this mess is just pure nationalism based on the truth, and for it to come to power when the time comes, like when the situation gets ripe for it, when the climate changes. And that's what we're preparing for all this time. But again, we're building the foundation, we're building the groundwork for that coming uprising. And a lot of people don't see it because they don't see past their own nose. But for far-sighted individuals who know history, who know how revolutions work, who know how things like this actually work, they see it. They know what we're doing. They understand it. But again, the impulsive ones, the short-sighted ones, they don't understand. Especially in this modern era where people are, addicted to instant gratification and doing something where they could see immediate results right away. They don't understand what we're doing. But what we're doing, it's like the same as a businessman trying to grow, I don't know, a Fortune 500 company. you know, you got to start every great thing starts from small beginnings. Sic parvis magna. I've been using that saying, the Latin sayings, for years now. You know, and it's what it is. It's great things from small beginnings. Every great revolution, every great movement, they all started from like the minor tasks. And the problem is people don't want to do those minor tasks. They want to get the glory right away. But without struggle, without work, without effort, without sacrifice, there's no glory. And again, our people seem to like don't not understand that. They'll understand it when it comes to business. They'll understand that when it comes to business. A lot of Armenians, they're business minded. They understand that. They have patience when it comes to business, to building a business. But for some reason, when it comes to politics, they think a movement doesn't require the same approach. They think it should just come, like, start a movement, do something, and if it's not showing immediate results right away, oh, it's just all talk. It's just all talking, man. He doesn't do shit. He's just all talking. They have the audacity to say that I'm all talk, like when they had 30 years to build a movement here, start it, not build a movement, Jesus Christ, even just start a movement, start like a nationalist political movement. They haven't done that in 30 years, and the people who are talking shit, excuse my language, because of our movement isn't growing as fast as they think it should, because we only have like 15 members. Yeah, we have supporters, we have sympathizers. They don't see that, and they automatically start condemning us. They start mocking us, but they haven't done anything in 30 years. And they're telling me that I'm all just talk when I'm the one who repatriated here. I'm the one who served in the army. I'm the one who volunteered in the war, and I'm the one who started a grassroots movement from zero, and turned it into like the only nationalist movement in Armenia. And they have the audacity to mock me. It's just ridiculous. These people have no self awareness. But yeah, basically that's I wanted to really talk about this because these are the important things. But then I see people have questions. It's good. I want to remind everyone that you guys could always jump in and ask a question. Let me see what this person has to say. Oh, it just looks like he logged out. Yeah, Arthur, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just wanna add that you talked about Young Turk Revolution and so on. I personally think that it doesn't matter. Is it like secular Turkish Republic or Muslim Ottoman Empire? It doesn't matter. There were massacres of Armenian people before Armenian genocide and even before Young Turk Revolution. So Turkey is Turkey. It doesn't matter. Is it secular, Muslim, communist, or so on?
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't say that because to justify the Ottoman Turks or something like that.
Yeah, no, I
I
just
just
wanted
stated the
to
fact.
add.
Yeah, of course, the Abdul Hamid, they massacred hundreds of thousands of Armenians before the genocide. Yeah, I think it was 1890 or 1895, if I'm not mistaken. But same thing with Russia. People think, oh, they think today's Russia. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. For some time, I thought the same too. I was actually brainwashed with the same notion that, oh, today's Putin's Russia is nothing to do with Soviet Russia. They're actually anti-globalist now. It's ridiculous. But it's ridiculous, especially when you consider the fact that they still continue the Soviet traditions of the May Day victories and everything, and they still praise the Soviet Union, and they
Yeah,
never
as a
condemn it.
guy
It's
from
ridiculous.
Russia, I confirm it's literally true. And by the way, it doesn't have to do with anything with Putin, because even before Putin came to power, Russian Federation still was involved in wars. For example, they supported communist terrorists in Transnistria war against Moldova. They supported um, Azerbaijan during first Artsakh liberation war. For example, do you know that the northern part of Artsakh that have never been unfortunately under Armenian control was
Ta-
occupied by
Talking about
Azerbaijan.
Shahomian, right?
Yeah, this territory was occupied mm, um, with the help of Russian Federation. You can literally look up like Azerbaijani offensive on this territory, and uh, you will find out that Russian Federation helped them.
I wrote a article about that. It was the ring. I think in our English, that's what it obviously translates to. Orak operation, which is a ring operation. That's when the so the Soviet army, it was the 19 it was May 91, yes, or May 91 or somewhere around there. That's when they started attacking the northern Artsakh villages, and with the help of the Soviets and the Azeris, they were attacking, and that's when they
Yeah, yeah, I understand. I'm talking about
yeah,
at the end of Artsakh Liberation War. Operation Ring was I forgot the date. Was it
it was
after?
April 91. It
Ah,
was like
yeah,
pretty
it
much the
was.
beginning of the war. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like Soviet Union. But even after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, um, at the end of Artsakh Liberation War, Russia helped Azerbaijan to occupy northern Artsakh.
You're
Even
talking
one,
about 1994.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course.
I-
Again, I mean, it was because of Russian intervention that the whole ceasefire was signed, and not like a document cementing Armenian victory. That's where the whole mess started from. From 19, if we just forced Azerbaijan to surrender and not sign a ceasefire, everything could have been solved back then in only like a few weeks, months maximum, for example. But no, they deliberately, caused a ceasefire, and Levon Petrosan, he didn't even recognize it. That's this is a whole topic for another day, but it's very very important topic, and a lot of our people don't know about it. But a lot of our people don't even this. I 30 years, almost 20, like 27 years living in America. I never heard anyone there or in Armenia, like say like what's our victory day? Okay, we're always talking about the Artsakh Liberation War. We're always talking about our freedom fighters, but never once mentioned when our victory days. They talking about Shushi, the liberation of Shushi in 1992 of May 9th, 1992. But that wasn't like the victory day. That's like Russians celebrating the victory at Stalingrad instead of
Yeah.
conquering Berlin. No, that's actually the beginning of the war. There's actually a lot of intense battles that took place after the liberation of Shushi. That wasn't a guarantee that we were going to win the war. The war continued for another 2 damn years. But the victory day is officially May 12th, 1994. And I guarantee you, you go ask around 99.9% of Armenians worldwide when the victory day of Artsakh is, of Artsakh Liberation War. 99.9% won't tell you it's that day. And that's insane.
Yeah, it's true.
Like that,
Unfortunately.
but that's a victory day. That's a victory because our we, you know we achieved military victory. Our armed forces took over, liberated Artsakh, liberated Karabakh, and drove out Azeri forces. That's it. I mean, but this freaking Levon Petros, son, that Zionist KGB agent comes and says, "Oh, we didn't really win the war. We still have to solve the Artsakh issue." Like, what are you talking about? In contrast, look at what Aliyev did in 2020 of November 9th. Literally, like the next freaking day in Azerbaijan, that becomes like a holy holiday for them, like a victory day. Till this day, they treat it like it's like a holy victory day for them. And even though like they didn't fully take over even Artsakh in 2020, right? It was still a
Mm-hmm.
half Russian, half thing. But
Yeah.
still, like they didn't lose any chance. They didn't lose the opportunity to cement it, on paper. But ours, like we won it through our blood. They got it through treason. They got it because our generals and our politicians stabbed us in the back, stabbed our
It's
own
the
army
only
in the
way
back.
that they can occupy Artsakh. It's the only way.
Yeah, exactly. But nevertheless, they still recognized it. They still celebrated it, whereas we 30 years ago actually did liberate it with our own sweat and blood, and fighting a 3 4 year war. And why didn't we have a victory day? And the whole reason why they turned May 9th into a victory day, these freaking neo Bolsheviks, is because May 9th was also the victory day for the communist Red Army in Berlin. They wanted to tie it together, and so people, every time they're going to celebrate like Armenian victory, they're going to celebrate a Soviet victory simultaneously. They
Mm-hmm.
always tied it together. And that wasn't a coincidence. They did that deliberately, and it all started from there. It all started from there. Once we didn't recognize our victory, after that, they took us to this insane concessions and eventually a humiliating defeat, as we saw in 2020, and obviously which led to the total ethnic cleansing of Armenians in 2023, and which is now leading us to
Yeah, and
the destruction of our statehood right now.
yeah, and I also want to mention that what happened with Armenians in 1915, 2020, and 2023 is proof that what happened in 1994 was justified. You probably know what I'm talking about.
I you're talking. I didn't really understand the point. You're saying, would you repeat it?
I said that what happened with Armenians in 1915, 2020, and 2023 is proof
Hmm.
that what we did in 1994 was justified.
Well, of course. I mean, everything we've done has been justified. Every victory we've had has been justified. I mean, the three biggest victories that we've actually had in the 20th century, something that our movement is based upon, and we always use those examples to inspire, the coming struggle ahead, to inspire the, new generation to prepare for the coming struggle ahead, is the May battles of 1918, the ones in Karakilissia, in Sardarapad, and in Aparan, Bashaparan. Those are the May battles in 1918, and also Nejdeh's rebellion in mountainous Armenia back in around 1920, 1921, around there. 1919 to 1921, that's when it officially, there was also a victory against the Bolshevik Red Army. The 1918 was the victory against the Ottomans, and this, uh, 1994 victory, Artsakh Liberation War, is against the Azeri forces, and those are all justified. Whatever we were doing out of self-defense. But the essential, crucial difference in this Artsakh Liberation War is that we actually, for the first time in, I think, Jesus, I don't know, like 1,000 years probably, or for centuries, whatever. I don't know the exact, you know, mark, but let's say centuries for sure, where we actually went on the offensive and liberated land. In 1918, we were just on the defensive. Yeah, we won, but we were just on the defensive. Same thing with Najda. Yeah, we won, but we were still on the defensive. This is Artsakh Liberation War was the first time where actually we actually went on the offensive and liberated. That's why it was a game changer, and that's why they tried to steal that victory away from us as soon as possible. And that's what they did, you know. But completely changed the Armenian mentality, because for a long time that's how Armenians were, right? Oh, we're just weak, we can't do anything, a nation of weepers, of beggars, and no, we can't do anything. We don't have, we're too small, and finally that victory changed the way Armenians think. But again, we started going back instead of saying,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you know what, we're victorious. We should put more demands on Azerbaijan. We're the victorious side. Let them, you know, give Nakhichevan back, for example. You know what I'm saying? Instead of going on the, offensive, not on the offensive, just going pursuing your own interests, trying to capitalize on your victory as much as possible, just like Azerbaijan is trying to do today, and it is doing today. We went on the defensive again. We're like, oh no, we gotta, give up our independence for security. Every time we start thinking like that, we start losing, and that mentality doesn't come out of thin air. Is because all these people who are instilling that type of defeatism in us are the traitors, are the enemies. And enemy propaganda, and the traitors collaborating with them. Again, all these four uh, heads of state. I don't even want to call them leaders. All these four heads of state, the last 30 years, that's what they've been. That's what they instilled, this defeatist, this low type of mindset into our people. And
Yeah,
that's
traders
that
are
each and every
worse than enemy.
26 years, man. They had 20. Keep saying this. People who are still supporting. Crazy enough, they're still supporting. I don't know, Serge and Kocharan, just because they think they're in opposition. I told them they had 26 freaking years. They inherited a victorious state with a victorious army, liberated Artsakh. They had a liberated Artsakh served to them on a silver platter, yet they couldn't, in 26 years, unite Artsakh to Armenia as one state. And here are now they're in parliament. They're talking about patriotism. Is that a joke? You know, I think they know themselves that they're a freaking traitor. I don't think they're that stupid to not know that they're not traitors themselves. The whole ARF, today's ARF, they're all traitors. Talking about the leadership, of course. There's a lot of decent people in the lower ranks. Not talking about them. The higher ranks, they're all traitors. The whole like opposition, you know, they're talking about patriotism. They're talking about nationalism. And you had 26 years, you couldn't unite a little Artsakh to Armenia. And and these same type of people, for example, they condemn someone like Hitler, or and they always, they're all communists over here. They love condemning Hitler. Oh, Hitler was this, Hitler was that. Man, the guy, like, he inherited a defeated, weak country, crippled economy, a divided nation, and returned it back into a superpower in like 5 years. United all his lost territories into one Reich in like 5 years. You guys at 26 years, you couldn't unite a victorious, liberated Artsakh to Armenia. That's the difference between a nationalist and a communist. you know, I don't think that's like a better example right there. So that was our chance, like, and we fought for that land. We bled for it, and so many great men died liberating Artsakh. And the whole purpose was for them to see it united with Armenia. So we lost so many good people. We lost so many great young men who could have been leaders today, and these people just stabbed us in the back and just gave it all up. This signing of a paper, you know, through a stroke of a pen, you know. And these are the ones who are supposedly gonna bring about peace, bring prosperity. I mean, it's a freaking joke. You know what I mean? It's just insane.
Mm-hmm.
We're living in crazy times, and our people are just living like ostriches, their heads stuck in the sand. They're still talking about thinking, oh, Cochrane is the better of lesser of two evils. As long as we get rid of Nico. No, no, it's not just about Nico. It's his whole system is rotten. Nico is just a symptom of this disease. This whole system is rotten to the core and it's filled with traitors. You can't just get rid of one puppet and expect everything to, you know, work out. It's not gonna be that way, and people they don't understand. They don't want to accept this hard truth, this harsh truth. Hell, I didn't want to accept it either. I still believed in like the lesser of two evils before the war. I mean, when I first came, I thought there might still be hope. I thought, oh, yeah, maybe they're not all that bad. I was still trying to, be more quote unquote pragmatic, but I don't know this. What I'm saying right now is pragmatic. What I'm saying right now is not. I'm not just saying these things to make it look like my movement is like the only answer to uh, this whole mess, this whole big problem that we have. I'm just giving out an objective statement. It is all rotten to the core. I've been here 10 years. I've talked to everyone. I met with so many people. Almost everyone in politics knows about me, and I know about them. I met them, a lot of them personally. Either diaspora or here. I've, there's not one intellectual, quote unquote, who I haven't even met in Armenia. And it's just a sad case. Again, these parties, or especially the parties, even the organization. I mean, again, they're all sold out. A lot of them, they're traders. They don't even like. They're not consciously even aware that they're traders. That's how insane it is. But anyways, my point is again, we had that chance to, revive our victorious mindset, the ones that we had back in the ancient times where we actually, conquered and, had a strong state, had a strong country, the united country. Had that chance to revive that mindset, and look what they did. Look what they did. We could have had something great, but again, because most of it because of the Russian influence on our country, they got rid of all the decent people. 1999 terrorist act in the parliament was like the final nail in the coffin for the so-called Third Republic, because that was like a sign from the Kremlin that they're back in control 100% now. That's when actually Kochayan came to power again. I mean, came to power, continuing what Levon Petrosan was actually doing, and and here we are. Here we are now. They want to bring about the end of our independence, and they're doing it subtly. They want us to, after these circus-like elections, this traitorous government is going to try to change the constitution, and after that, Azerbaijan is going to ask for more demands and more demands. They basically want us to shoot ourselves in the foot to commit political suicide before they actually come and physically try to, without even like a big blow, like even with a small blow, they'll just come and just take our country away from us and create their so-called Western Azerbaijan. And what they did to our Artsakh, they want to do exactly to all of Armenia, and they want to even do it. They want to do it more easily. They want to do it in this so-called peaceful way. Like that's why Aliyev keeps saying he's gonna walk to Yerevan. He's not even gonna enter with tanks. He's gonna walk there, and he's not. And we should be grateful that that scoundrel, that creature called Aliyev is so honest. He really says what he wants to do, and he's openly saying it. And funny enough, what he said after the war about the Armenian army, it was actually the most, I don't know, it was like most, I don't want to say inspirational, but it actually gave hope. And it's as crazy as it sounds, because after the war, after the 2020 war, what he said, wait, what did he exactly? I'm trying to, translate it from Armenian to English right now. He said, "We'll never let the Armenian army become a threat to us again. We're going to," and that he's basically trying to push his agenda. Trying to capitalize on his victory, as which every freaking victorious nation should be doing. But the fact that he did say that, the fact that he was worried that, and he's saying that we won't let Armenian army become a threat to us again, that just shows that he knows that we have the potential to become a threat again, and that's why he keeps pushing for this. They want to, you know, they want us to do this whole Fourth Republic thing. They want us to change this constitution, whatever. Just this whole insanity. They want to do it as fast as possible, get their own corridor and everything, because they know this government isn't eternal. No government is, especially the one based on lies and treason like this one is, and especially the fact that you know uh, Russia is gonna Russian Federation is going to come to a collapse, which is going to cause big shockwaves over here, and it's going to lead to all kinds of changes. And they know that during that type of scenario, it's very likely that nationalists, his so-called revanchists, will come to power and will completely change the game. So he's trying to do what he can while he still can, and he's openly saying it. So we should be
Hike.
happy that he's that
Uh,
honest. Yeah.
I
Yes.
also
Go
want
ahead.
to mention that there is no such thing as third or fourth republic
Yeah. Of course.
because there have never been
Whenever I say
second.
that, I say that with quotation marks every time I say that for the
Ah,
listeners.
okay. I just want to mention that there
Yeah,
was no second republic. There was
I of course, I
occupation of Armenia by the USSR.
of course I mentioned that in the articles we posted and like the shorts I made. Of course, I mention that all the
Ah,
time.
okay.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's it again. That's a topic for a different story. Again, to the listeners, we keep jumping back and forth topics, but this is important stuff too. But yeah, there's never been a second republic. It was a Soviet occupation, so therefore there can't be a third or a fourth one, especially a fourth one. This whole fourth one is just it's insane. It's madness. It's not only dependent on Russia; it's going to be dependent on Azerbaijan. And this whole like buying gasoline from them is like the first step in that process. And they're gonna do more. They're gonna do trade, just like whenever India started trading with China, India started becoming dependent on China, and it's always there. They've had some clashes uh, because of that. They've had some problems because of that. China was trying to you know have its influence over India with that trade. And anyways, with now Azerbaijan, that's what he wants to do. He wants Armenia to become dependent on him, and he's gonna slowly do that. And obviously like when you become dependent on your enemy, that's like bye bye to your sovereignty and independence. And yeah, it's just all these things are people are and again are so-called intellectuals. They don't talk about these important things. They're stuck right now. They're talking about the church. Oh, the Nicole is fighting against the church. Oh my god, no, man, that's all bullshit. They're all together. The church, they're the head of the church, the head of the government. They're all serving the same. They're all puppets, says serving the same master. For this past, I don't know, several months, if not a year, they're still talking about that. Oh, the church and the state. Oh my God, Nico is trying to destroy and distracting us from what's really going on, from what they really want to do to us. The whole purpose of this whole state versus church dilemma is just divide and rule. It's the Kremlin's tactic to divide and rule Armenian society by pitting his puppets against each other and create this chaos. That eventually that's what they want to do. They want Armenia to turn into chaos, so then they could bring in their troops to save, quote unquote, save us, just like they saved Artsakh 5 years prior. 5 6 years ago. So it's all deliberately, it's all planned, and the people don't understand this. They don't. They can't. They think like a empire like Russia. They think they're simple-minded and they only think one-dimensionally, like Armenians do. You know, because Armenians think one-dimensionally when it comes to politics. Yeah, it's it's sad, you know. But and when talking about empires like Russia, they're thinking like third, fourth dimensionally, man. They're steps ahead. They have it all planned out. And this the primitive like nature of the commentators in Armenia and the way they act. Oh, Nikol is actually breaking free from Russia, is going to become part of European Union. I'm like, you idiots. Like Georgia is trying to become part of European Union for like several years now. It's not even happening. How the hell is Armenia going to become part of European Union? And why would Russia tolerate that? Just Armenia breaking free from its orbit so easily, especially in this defeated state. It just makes no sense. Russia is just laying out the groundwork for a future intervention, so they could again do with Armenia, what Republic of Armenia, what they did to the Republic of Artsakh, come in as saviors, you know, justify their invasion and say, oh, we're the only ones who could put order into this region. We're the only ones who could save Armenia, and then they're gonna hand this to the fucking Azeris, and so they could have their Western Azerbaijan, like they planned it out. And again, what's happening now is same thing that happened in 1920. It's just right now, Russia, Turkey, Israel. Again, these are we're going to talk about this more in our future broadcasts and lives. But what they did back then, directly attacking Armenia, now they're doing it using Azerbaijan as a proxy state, as a proxy terrorist state. And yeah, there's no difference really. So the only thing, the only chance we have of getting out of this mess is for right now, nationalists today, decent, young nationalists to unite under one structure, organize, prepare for the opportunity to come, and it's gonna come. History has shown this, and it's the only chance we got for the opportunity to come for us to people like us to take the lead and not let traitors and scoundrels take over like they took over in 2018, just what already 8 years ago, right? We're gonna have to guarantee that this time it's gonna be different. This time it's gonna be different because this time we're gonna be prepared for it, and we're gonna catch them off guard. They all these forces, all these anti-Armenian forces, they think they have it all figured out. They think that's it. Armenia is dead. Is dead. It's gone. All we gotta do is just sign some papers. Armenia is gonna, you know, just extinguish. That's it. But lo and behold, we're gonna be the wrench in the gears. We're gonna throw out all their plans aimed against us, and we're gonna catch them off guard. So we're gonna have to do that starting today. Starting right now. Whoever's listening to this in the diaspora, you gotta take part. You gotta accept personal responsibility. This is the only way. We gotta unite under one structure, under one leadership, and prepare. Create an organized force for that time to come. As they say, luck is preparation meets opportunity. Opportunities are gonna come, but if you're not prepared for it, you're not gonna get quote unquote lucky. That's how I see it. If anyone has questions, I see someone new in here. Hilarious. Someone came in. He had a funny uh, info in his never mind his profile. Uh, yeah, Arthur. So I think you're pretty knowledgeable, huh, when it comes to history and stuff. You studied a lot.
Yeah, it's like my hobby. I like history.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. I don't know how, like, since you're pretty new to Hosank, and I mean, we've only talked for like a month or two. Have you come across like a movement or some organization like
What do
who
you mean?
talks about, like an Armenian organization that talks about these things, like talks about like these important issues and gives right
Ah, no,
commentary on it.
no, no. Other. Well, I was interested in politics like 2 or 3 years ago. Um, I read a manifesto of other Armenian political parties, and they either have like vague terminology, like pointless, or something unimportant, like we need to um, preserve like democracy, human rights, so the European Union will be happy, or something like
Yeah,
or if it's a pro-Russian party, we need to make uh, like we need to support Russia in their invasion of Ukraine, or other unimportant garbage. Not like literally nothing about social issues, uh, family values, like nothing about that.
yeah,
Only
yeah. Of course.
economy, only economy and foreign relations. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. Brings me back to the point where um, the reason why I started the movement is because exactly what you're saying right now is because all I saw was that superficial, generic stuff. It's like copy pasted from other places,
Yeah,
and they don't even believe what they even say. And obviously when you look at it, they're all just puppets. They're all just puppets serving a master and getting a paycheck for it. And all that just sickened me, especially after the war when I saw that continuing. After what happened to Artsakh, after the betrayal, after all that, and they're still you know doing their petty politics like nothing happened, and just it filled me with rage. It filled me with anger, and I decided to channel that rage into the right direction, and that's why, and into a constructive direction, and that's why I did what I did. That's why, again, I'm trying to make that fire burn to warm the house instead of burning it down, if you get the analogy. And that's what I'm doing with this.
hmm
And um yeah, I'm glad, man. I'm glad people like you found out about us, and I hope doing this in English will reach more people. I I'm not, I'm being realistic. I know that this phase of our people, they're in this indifference phase. They're living like the ostriches. It's always this passive periods. Again, I've been involved with like I'm I mean in politics, involved in the sense that I've been observant, not really involved. I've been observant to what's going on in Armenia for like 20 years now. I've been obviously active in like the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years, but just to being observant what's happened to Armenia in the last 20 years, I've noticed this. There's always been these periods of slow, like indifference and no interest, and then it just peaks, and then it back to slow, and then peaks again. So that's why I'm playing the long game. I understand this. It's like a sine wave, you know. Right now we're in like that downward phase, but I know it's gonna come up again, and I just know I'm not gonna sit this one out. I know I saw what happened in 2018. I was serving in the Tavush region. I was coming back and forth. I was serving in the trenches over there. And, I was in my army uniform, and I was noticing what's going on in 2018, the April of 2018, with that fake velvet revolution, and just seeing my people being hypnotized like that. It was just by some scoundrels, a group of traitors, and the people are just like worshiping them. It was just a disgusting sight to see, and it just, yeah, it disappointed me. I think that was the first big disappointment in our people that I saw while living in Armenia, and I thought they would be more wise than follow a bunch of, you know, I don't know what you call it, like the scum of Armenian society. Blindly follow them. Um,
Traders.
it just every negative adjective you could think of, you could just put their name next to it, and
Yeah.
it's just so
I also want to
it's
mention that. Hi, do you know what is what's this party or Pashinyan's party? I forgot their name, but
Civil
do you know
contract.
their civil contract? Yeah. Um, do you know their logo? Like
Yeah, I know. It's the
handshake.
it's the
Y-
Turkish logo. It's a
Not only
product of Turkey, right? Something like that.
yeah, not only Turkish, because for example, do you know what is East GDR, German Democratic Republic, like Eastern Germany?
Uh, what was the question?
Do you know what is Eastern Germany? It's like
Yeah,
Germany under Soviet occupation.
yeah, of
Their
course, yeah.
their ruling party also had symbol like
Oh,
handshaking.
really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I see that one. That one I didn't know. Oh, interesting. Yeah, if you can send me a picture of that, I never.
Okay. Yeah, I will.
Yeah, it's interesting. I could write a post about that too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, well, my point was saying that 2018 when I saw that, and then I knew again, it peaked, and then it slowed down again. Now we're in that phase where it's like people are indifferent. They're filled with like cynicism, hopelessness. But I know that it's not permanent, and the next wave is coming. So um, us, we have that responsibility. Women, children, they can be careless, but men can't be careless. We have to accept that personal responsibility. We have to prepare. We have to take charge. We have to lead, provide, preside, and protect. That's our job as men, and we have to do it because it's our responsibility. So all I know when the next wave comes, me and the people standing next to me, our members, our supporters, the movement, our movement in general, we're not gonna sit this one out. We're gonna try to be prepared to lead our people, show them the right path. So what happened in 2018 doesn't repeat, and especially what happened in 2020 never repeats in Armenian history ever again. So that's where we're at right now. But I think it's about enough for today. We've gone over an hour already. A lot to talk about. We could save it for the next time. And again, you have any final thoughts you want to add?
No.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah. For those listening, again, you guys could go to our website hosank.net. You guys could subscribe to the YouTube. Again, the YouTube might change again. That's why I don't like really posting the YouTube channels because they banned our former one, previous one. But you guys could subscribe to our Telegram channel, check out our website, read the manifesto, read the program, check out our posts, the speeches, rallies, etc. You want to join or become a supporter, the form is right there. Any type of support, even even if it's whatever, $10 a month, it still goes a long way. If we have 1,000 diasporan Armenians donating $10 a month, that could bring us to the whole new level. So, anyways, check us out. Accept responsibility. Understand that you have a duty, you have a responsibility to your people. You can't escape from it. Don't be a shirker. Be a man. Do what you got to do. And if you find a better way, God be with you. But this is the way we see it. This is the way we got to do it. There's no other way than an organized, consistent struggle. And we're just giving that platform for those people who also see that as a solution as well. Any case, thanks everybody for joining in, and you guys could join in next time. Just follow our channel. If you have any questions, again, go ahead, contact us on Telegram or email, and we'll gladly answer it. Thanks again, and have a good night, everybody.